Ladies and gentlemen, programmers, we're going to do the Arduino Robotics Project 2A, the buzzer. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to use the book to hook it up and learn about the parts. You're going to download code from Google Classroom that's not totally complete. You're going to use the videos to finish that code. You're going to do the coding challenges from the book and take notes and learn all along the way. All right, let's take a look at this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Classroom. You're going to get the, download this. There's the code. There's the book. And inside the book, it's going to look a little something like this. And you're going to answer these questions. So let's take a look at what this is going to look like. So hit page up. Okay, so it's talking about the buzzer, the reset button, arrays. So we're going to read through that and answer those questions. If you don't understand, ask me and I'll help you. Okay, answer those questions in your notes. And I'm going to quiz you on it individually. All right, let's hook it up. So if you look at page 38 in that book, again, it's going to tell you what to do. So if we look over here on this page, it's going to show you a pretty easy hookup on this one. Make sure you understand what this thing is. Make sure you understand why we're using the potentiometer this time again. All right, and then let's start to code it. So we're gonna go over here. We've got this is the same thing. So get that code and open it up, and we're just gonna start looking at it and completing it. All right, let's go. Okay. All right, so code the instance variable or global variable. So you have these things called instance variables or global variables. So the instance variable, write this down in your notes. The instance variable declaration area is where we create instance variables. Write that down. And an instance variable or a global variable or a field, there's all kinds of names for it, is a bit of memory, or it's in the computer's RAM that belongs to the whole class. We think of it as a box in the RAM that you store stuff in. So here's the code we're going to write. We're going to say int speaker pin. So you make a box in the RAM called speaker pin. The only thing that can go into it is an integer or a whole number, and it belongs to the whole class. Everybody can use it. Okay. So write this down. Declaring a variable equals making the box. So it'll say something like int speaker pin. So you're making an empty box called speaker pin. The only thing that can go into it is a whole number. Initializing a variable is putting something into the box for the first time. So if you say speaker pin equals 10, you're putting a 10 in the box. Assigning is changing what's in the box. So whenever I say equals, it changes. So initializing and assigning are the same thing, except for initializing is the first time the box was empty. Then you put something in it. When you, like, if I said speaker equals 10, the box is only 10. If I say speaker pin equals 5, well, we get rid of the 10 and put a 5 in it. So assigning is just put something into the box for the second, third, and fourth time. The assignment operator is the equal symbol. So that is called the assignment operator, and it's basically putting something in the box. All right, so if you declare a variable, you're making the box. So speaker pin, the only thing that can go into it is an integer, but the box is empty. When I initialize it, is I'm putting something into it for the first time. I'm sticking a 10 in the box. All right, an instance variable declaration. So just like we have int speaker pin, so you have this way of doing it. So you say the variable type or the data type, in this case int, and the variable name speaker pin. The name of the box or the variable is speaker pin. The only thing that can go into it, its data type is integer. Okay. All right. And again, what is this thing called? That is called the assignment operator. So when you're putting something in the box, when you're assigning something, the way you do it is you put the name of the variable. So speaker pin, assignment operator equals, and then the expression in this case, 10. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so let's take a look. So let's go ahead and open up our code here. Okay, so here's our code. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go to preferences. I'm gonna make this 18 so we can see this. All right, nice and big. All right, so basically what we're gonna do is this is our variable declarations area. This is where we create instance variables. And we're going to go ahead and type in the code that we are interested in. So in this case, we're going to click right here and we're going to say int speaker pin semicolon. So we're creating our instance variable called speaker pin. The only thing that can go into it is whole numbers, okay? And that's not super helpful to have an empty box. So we're going to come over here to our void setup. This method runs, this void setup is a special method also called a constructor. It runs one time right at the beginning. This is a great time. This is a great place to initialize our instance variable. So we're going to say speaker pin equals, we're going to use the assignment operator, and we're going to say 10. Okay, so now we have a box, and now we've just filled our box with 10. Okay, all right, make sure you guys do that as well. Let's see what's next on our spiel here. All right, so the Arduino sketches must have two specific methods. One is setup and one is loop. Okay, so if you look at what we have our instance variable declaration area, which is not totally mandatory, but we need it this time around. We have our void setup, starts here and ends here. And then a little bit later, we're going to do our loop. Okay, so in our setup, here's what we're going to do in our setup. We already did have our assignment. Now we're going to do our pin mode speaker pin, comma output. So let's type that in, and then we're going to talk about what that means. All right, so we're going to come over here, and we're going to click here, and we're going to say pin mode. Okay, a little something like this. All right, so let's talk about this right here. So we're setting the output pin for the speaker. All right, so whenever we say speaker pin, we look in our box. What are we going to find on our box? A 10. Okay, so I could very well just put a 10 here. It's going to do exactly the same thing, because when I look in the box, I see a 10. But this is more helpful because we're thinking, oh yeah, we're setting up our speaker pin, and we're going to set it up to be output, which means that it doesn't read anything. It's not reading any sensors or anything. All it's doing is just you're sending a signal out. Okay. So this right here, pin mode, this is a method call. It has two parameters. So we're going to say, hey, basically it's saying, hey, I want to set up the pin mode, and we're going to set up pin 10, and we're setting it up as output. Okay, so inside the parentheses, or inside our parameters, it has two parameters. Okay, now here's something interesting. So pin mode is very basic for an Arduino, right? If you're going to use the Arduino, you have to set up the pins. Like this pin is input, this pin is output. Okay, so this is something that is inherited. So the Arduino inherited this. Somebody wrote this, and it's already attached basically, and the Arduino knows how to do it. Okay, so this method is inherited. It already knows how to do it. Okay, so that's going to be different than this method we're going to use down here later called play. Okay, so let's go back to our spiel. How does the Arduino know how to pin mode? Okay, we just answered that. If you don't know the answer, ask me. What does pin mode do? And what are we doing when we use speaker pin in the parameters? Okay, let's talk about that one. All right, so right here, I declared my variable. I made my box called speaker pin. Right here, I assigned something to it. I stuck a 10 in the box. And then right here, I'm using the variable. That's the answer to that question. What am I doing when I say speaker pin? I'm using this variable that we already set up. That is the answer to that. Okay, so that's going to be it for this first little section of the video. I want you to move on to the next section of the video.